Aloha! What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Omens. I'm JayDreamerZ. I'm excited today. I'm so excited today. I can't wait to talk to you guys about so much stuff. In particular, the crazy things that are happening around the world. We're going to talk about sunflowers and why they seem to be acting up and acting weird. But, hold on. Let me check my chat. Let me just make sure. Where's my chat? That's me. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Let's see. Thumbs up if you can hear me okay in the chat. I don't know why I look red on screen. That's weird. Why am I red? It's my lighting. Who knows? Anyways, yes. Okay, sweet. I see a lot of people starting to show up in the chat. Good to see everybody. Welcome. Let me pause that to save memory on my computer. And I'm just going to look to see if you guys can hear me okay. I'm going to double check myself because I'm so excited right now. You have no idea. Lots of thumbs ups already. Thank you all very much. I appreciate all you guys. All right. So first and foremost, we'll just do this first. My channel has reached over 100,000 subscribers. So I'm humbled. I'm just beaming, really. I didn't even know until I read in some of my comments. You guys told me. You guys let me know. And I can't even believe it, honestly. Some of you may remember this. This is my little makeshift YouTube play button award. I made this about 4 years ago. It's just made out of like some cardboard and foam or something. But I made this for myself. It's got like it has a hole in it. That's why that's there. I made this for myself about 4 years ago, and I have always had it right in front of me, in my little workspace here. And, it's just kind of been off to the side. I made that because one day my son was bragging about how cool it would be if his dad had 100,000 subscribers and I would get a YouTube play button and all this fun stuff. And just watching his face, he was so proud of me, And he's the reason, him and my daughter, are the reasons why I even started doing this in the first place. I wanted to have some way of recording all of my information and writings and research and studies and thoughts and everything. And somebody said, why don't you put it on the internet? So I looked up different ways to do that, and YouTube popped up, and I decided to start making videos on YouTube for posterity, but other people started watching my YouTube channel and stuff. So, huge round of applause. I think I should deserve to pat myself on the back. I don't typically brag a lot or anything, but hey, I'm excited, and I have not told my son yet, and I'm excited to see what he says. I made a post about it in my community section. My daughter was actually the fourth subscriber on my channel. She was the fourth person to ever subscribe, and I'm so sure she did that the moment that she knew I had one. So yes, I'm very proud of that. When I do get the little play button thing, I will definitely share it with everybody. Also, in other news, my brother, I have a younger brother. He's much bigger than I am. He's been featured on my channel a couple of times. He's been a paranormal investigator, a professional ghost hunter, and many other things as well. I've invited him to come back. You guys have been voting for him in this contest that he's in called the New Face of Horror, where he's currently in first place last time I checked, thanks to all of you for helping him out and voting for him. He's like 6'6", 6'7", 300 and something pounds. He has the biggest heart in the whole world. If he wins this contest, he gets to do a paranormal photo shoot with the guy who plays Jason Voorhees in most of the movies, and go on an actual paranormal investigation with him. And he wins $13,000, which, he's poor, so that would help his family out. If he does win, he just wants to have an awesome Halloween with my nephew and take him to like an amusement park and stuff. And he gets a chance to be featured in this up and coming horror movie. So I just want to say thank you guys. If you want to vote for him, you can vote once every day. There's a link in my community section along with a picture of my brother, so you can get a feel for that. And last but not least, I made a promise a long time ago to all of you. I told you that I was working a long time ago on a gift for my community, on a gift for the Good Vibe Tribe, on a gift for all of those who are in the chat. Matter of fact, let me get the chat pulled up here. It's good to keep my eyes on the chat, just in case. All right, sweet. Hey, lots of congratulations and everything. Everybody's being so awesome in the chat. Thank you all. I appreciate it. It's a tidal wave of good vibe emojis. And thank you for voting as well. All right, sweet. So I promised you guys a gift. Now, this gift might not be for everybody. Kazadev 555 just donated $5 in the super chat and says so much love. Thank you very much. It's right behind me there. So let's talk about this gift. I made something for all of you. It's not really for me. It's for you. It was requested a long time ago. I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. Okay. I know I'm building up the suspense. It was requested a long time ago. This gift, I'm still figuring out how to use it and stuff. Okay. And, it's pretty much done. It's been done for a few months now, but I spent many months working on this for all of you. Many of you have asked for some way to communicate after the show, after my YouTube live streams, after all this, because right now you're just in the chat. And once I'm gone, that's it. We'll see you next time JayDreamerZ is on. And, you know, that could be 5 minutes from now, or it could be 5 days from now. You never know. Probably not 5 days. So I created a Discord channel. I think it's called a channel. I created my very own Plasma Apocalypse centered Discord for all of you. Some people found it actually early. I don't know how you guys found it, but you found it. Some of you guys found it. And I asked you to keep it a secret and you did. So thank you very much. I will showcase that Discord more in the future. If you want to find it right now, you may. There are little subsections where you can go. There's little introduction videos I made a long time ago, welcoming everybody. There's different topics, so you can go in there. You can specifically go into like a chat room that's for Omens of the Apocalypse, and there's a chat room specifically for different topics that are related to the Plasma Apocalypse and other things as well. There's even like a general chat and stuff like that too. So I think I made that. Thank you again for your support and the golden jelly. Now I don't use Discord that much, so we're gonna figure it out together. I tried to set it up so that if you're a member on my channel, if you're a YouTube channel member, that you have free access. Everyone can check out the Discord for free. If you're a channel member and you're signed up with Discord, then you should have access to everything, be able to talk and stuff. But if you're just a visitor, you won't be able to like join discussions or anything. It's been a while since I've researched this. So I'm going to check out all the rules and stuff of the Discord that I made, and I'll let you guys know. Okay. I'll do a video maybe, I don't know, this weekend or something about it. Okay. So you can figure out how to use it and everything. But right now, if you're a channel member, maybe even a website member to my website, I can't remember. You can use it. You can talk, you can engage. If you're not a channel member, I can't remember. Okay. But go check it out. If you like to, it looks fun. It's a good time, and it's something for you all to be able to discuss these topics in depth together. Blake 1991. Hold on, let me see. Did Blake say something in the chat? Oh yeah, Blake says, my man. Blake's been a member for 16 months. Thank you for your support, Blake. Now, you guys ready for some omens? I am. Let's talk about these omens. Let's see. The first thing, I'm going to get rid of this one. Now, I want to talk about these sunflowers. Many of you have brought this to my attention. Actually, let me back up a bit. I haven't done viewer submissions in quite some time. Let's do these first, shall we? Let's do some viewer submissions, then we'll come right back to this farmer and his sunflowers, okay? We're going to talk about these sunflowers in just a minute. Now, these are the viewer submissions. If you have some omens that you'd like to share with me, they can be articles off the internet. They could be images, videos, things like that. Just go to JayDreamerZ.com, go to my Omens tab, and there's a huge update coming to my website too. I've been working on that a lot for the past few days. But go to Omens, and then there you'll see your submissions where you can upload your own pictures, articles, videos, and stuff. This one was sent to me by my friend Mac. You guys know him as Mac in the chat. Check this out. It's a 6-legged deer. This is a video somebody found on TikTok. It's kind of going to the bathroom there, but you can see there's two. This is a mutant deer, a mutated deer. Do you see that? It's not like in the middle of giving birth or anything. It was born with extra legs. It has to walk around its own extra legs there. Now, how is this an omen? How many people in the chat have been there for our live streams, for our discussions about mutants as far as humans go? I've discussed mutants and mutated humans, tribes, entire nations of mutated human beings as it relates to the plasma apocalypse, what will happen in the future, and as it has related to our ancient Oblivion. Specifically, those times right around and before the quote-unquote Dark Ages, right? We've seen many different versions of those. I'll show you an example here in a minute too. But you can see that this deer right here is mutated. This mutations happen in nature, right? But we're going to see a rise in mutations happening as we get closer and closer to the apocalypse, where the past comes full circle. And there's different reasons for mutants and the rise of mutants in the world today, but this is going to spill over from the animal kingdom into the human kingdom as well. You're going to see lots of different variations of mutants and mutations as time goes forward, and especially whenever there's an influx of radiation in our world. So thank you very much for sharing that one. He also shared this one with me too. Found this video of these long-eared goats. Look how long these ears are. Speaking of mutations, we're going to stay on the whole mutation trip for a second. Now, in the animal world, you can find mutations all over the place, right? In the human world, they tend to hide it. But people can't imagine like, oh, well, that's a goat. You know, goats, animals can do weird things. That can't happen to humans. It can. It will, and it has. You don't think that humans can grow ears this long? This is an example from the Dark Ages, from the medieval times of the legendary tribes of humans that we've discussed time and time again here on my channel. This is a tribe of humans that were known the world across, that were referenced by historians and mentioned in travelogues from famous explorers. This tribe is called the Pandai, or Pandi. And they are a tribe of men, humans, that have giant ears and were rumored to have 8 fingers and toes. Their hair starts out white, but the older it gets, their hair slowly starts to turn black. Their ears are said to hang down all the way to their elbows and can even touch each other. They were said to cover themselves and use their ears as coverings, right? Now, the ear is one of those body parts that does not stop growing. That's something to keep in mind. The nose, the ears, right? So imagine we live in different conditions that allow for and magnify our aging process, that allow us to age to much longer lifespans than we have today. That time is coming. That time once was. Okay, there's a lot of evidence for the fact that humans used to live for hundreds and hundreds of years, and this whole living less than 100 is an anomaly of our time. So mutations will be on the rise. Okay, if it's happened in the past, it's going to reoccur, because it's cyclical in nature. Next up, we've got this. This was sent to me. This is the website spaceweather.com by Mr. BB333 something something. I'm sorry, I can't always remember that name. But I'm subscribed to him. And he's always posting interesting stuff. This one right here is related to some stuff that we're going to talk about today. This one, you can see that there's these blue beams, these blue lasers in the sky. I don't know if this is a time lapse or what's happening, but this is supposed to be the Starlink satellites. Of particular interest, it says down here that they were trying to reduce the brightness of the Starlink satellites, and in doing so, it gave them a blue color. So they went from more of a red spectrum to a blue spectrum, which is an omen about our skies. We'll talk about that whenever we talk about the sun changing color and the color spectrum shift that we are currently engaged in. This is a sweet video of a laser beam. That's a laser in the middle, that light that's bending around. that laser beam is being manipulated by magnets. A magnetic field is bending the light, bending the laser, so much so it's being manipulated that in a minute here, you'll see it turn into like a little pigtail, a little spiral, right? People are just now tapping into, or it's becoming more recently more popular to discuss plasma physics, electromagnetism, and these things that used to once be considered just magic, right? That only wizards knew about. This right here is what many people are seeing in the skies, in the heavens, in our atmosphere right now. Whenever you see and hear about all these different stories of UFOs and strange balls of light and cigar-shaped stretched out lights across the sky and flashy blinky lights and stuff, right? There was that one famous one where that ball of light descended right above the Dome of the Rock. And I don't know, the light is like messing with me right now. I don't know why I'm red. I don't like it. It's flashing between normal color and red. Anyways, these are ionized gases. Mother Earth is releasing a massive amount of gas right now. This is going to be the core of what we're going to talk about during this presentation. A huge omen, a huge red flag. Okay, people ask me all the time, what are the main omens I should look for? This is one of them. All of the gases that are being released right now inside of the Earth, they're rising to the surface. They're knocking over their own little dominoes. These are called implications. What are the implications? God, man, it looks terrible. I hate it. Man, I don't know how to fix my light. I don't know what it is. I don't know which. I've got so many lights. I don't know how to change it. Anyways, let's move on. I'll come back to all that stuff in a minute. Okay. These are just viewer submissions. This is a tornado starting way up here in the clouds, bending on over and going all the way down. It's not a funnel cloud. This is classified as a tornado in Southern California, which is where I grew up, actually, for most of my life. This is unheard of. Okay. Down in places like Riverside, San Diego County, even Orange County, San Bernardino, Redlands, Yucaipa, and everywhere in between. Okay, this is where I grew up. I went to high school in Norco, Corona, these places, right? Those places don't get tornadoes. I lived there for a very long time. I never once even heard of a tornado going into that area. It's called the Inland Empire, the Valley, things like that, right? You don't get tornadoes. So this was a huge one. This was sent to me by Ryan out of New York. This was actually, something that was an article in Southern California. And also, Stay Encouraged Remnant out of New Jersey sent me this. These are sky pillars that we're seeing in, I believe, Argentina. People around the world are starting to capture these light pillars in different places. This is a huge omen. Regardless of the science behind how this happens and it's crystallized, little crystals in the air and stuff like that. This is something that has been seen in the past, the world across, on a massive scale. This is a small scale. This is a glimpse. This is a little taste. This is a preview of the post-apocalyptic world to come, right? And what, for those of you who are new and don't understand, there will come a time, and there has been a time, whenever all of that gas that's being released from the Earth releases full force. Whenever we go through a polarity shift, and all of the magnetism that's holding back gases from the hollow Earth, and all the magnetism above us that's holding in gases, it will be released one day, and all of those gases shoot out at strong speeds, and they ionize, and they become plasma. They become pillars and beams that rise up and touch the heavens and seem to be holding up the very sky itself. They will be places of power. They will look very similar to this, except for they'll be way bigger. They'll go way higher up into the atmosphere, and they'll start splitting off at the top into these sort of Y shapes. All right, next up, we got this one. Also, Max sent me this. This is the ground opening up in Yemen. This is something else that we'll see a lot more of, and I have been seeing a lot more of this, as far as this is the Earth growing, okay? Right, like I said, the Earth is expelling a lot of gas right now, waiting to give birth to the light of the world, the lights that come out of the Earth itself whenever those gases ionize. the world across. One main light source at Mount Meru that we talk about all of the time that erupts out of a plasma volcano known as Rupus Nigra, or Mount Meru. I like to just call it Mount Meru. But anyways, these are growing pains. And just like a woman who's giving birth, her surface, her belly stretches, right? And the earth is also stretching and growing, and these gases are releasing, and they cause things like huge cracks, and they cause things like sinkholes, and they cause things like earthquake lights whenever the earth rips open and all those gases escape into the upper atmosphere and sometimes ionize, giving you flashes or streaks or fireballs, which is coming up here in a bit when we check out the headlines. So let's move over to the headlines now. Let me check my chat. I'm so proud. I can't believe I got 100,000 subscribers. Like, wow. Thank you guys so much for all of your support over the years. All right, cool. I'm just checking to make sure there's no issues with the program. All right, sweet. Let's move over to the headlines now. Let's talk about the sunflowers. Man, why am I red? Okay. Mental note to myself, I need to like fix that. I do not like being a weird color. I like being normal color. Anyways, I'm not going to let it distract me too much. Now, some people have seen this video, and there's a few others that are floating around. Here's the theory. The theory is, and remember, regardless of whether or not the theory is true, there is an omen to everything. There is an element of truth to everything. I believe that's my philosophy. That's my perspective on the world that we live in, that everything is made of truth. Everything is true. It's just that if it's not completely true in how we would define that, it's because it's twisted. The truth has been twisted, tied into knots, or you could look at it like a gigantic puzzle, right? The big picture that is the truth of history and reality and ourselves and the world we live in and space and time and all of that. It's a huge, bigger picture, and it's been fractured into little tiny puzzle pieces. I find mine and I share them with you so that you can take yours and see what fits with the ones I found. That's why I like to do what I'm doing. So this is a huge puzzle piece. These sunflowers. Many people may know that the sunflowers typically follow the sun across the sky, right? They'll watch the sun. They'll turn as the sun goes across the sky. It's called heliotropism. Okay. Now, this farmer made this video, and there's other people on the internet, and some of you have even left comments about this, about the sunflowers not following the sun in the sky, facing away from the sun. Now, before too many brainiacs out there, right? Before you guys jump in and say, "Oh, here's the reason, here's the explanation," I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to give you the reason and the explanation, but then I'm also going to talk about some other things. First and foremost, what's the reason behind this? The reason behind this is, I'm going to pause it right there, okay? Look at the condition of those flowers. When sunflowers, they go through an aging process, okay? Let me share this with you. I've got some pictures up here. I think I have some pictures up. Where's my sunflower pictures? Oh, here we go. I'm way too far ahead. All right. I love this one right here. Isn't this a cool one? So check this out. You see the condition that this sunflower, all these sunflowers over here, they're all facing the sun. Okay. For the most part, they are just reaching full maturity. Just before they reach full maturity, they track the sun, okay, as they're growing. When they look more like this, and even just before they look like this one, they will track the sun. They'll follow the sun across the sky. They're bending. They can move around and stuff. But as they mature and they start looking more like this and this and this, they get a little bit more brown. The flowers are a little bit more wilted. Their stalks are a little bit thicker. They will stop facing the sun. So when they start looking like this one right here in the middle, right? This one right here is a good example. See if I can zoom in. Now you see how the flowers here, you could tell they're a little more brown. They're a little bit more wilted and whatnot. And oftentimes their head starts to hang because their fruit or their seeds are becoming more full. They will stop following the sun and they'll just face eastward. They don't want all the extra sunlight because they're fully cooked, you know, to use an expression, I guess, you know, they don't need any more sunlight. They're done getting sunlight or whatever. So they'll just face east. That's what a lot of people are saying on the internet when they watch videos like this guy's video when he's a farmer and he's saying, this is weird, this is strange. It stands to reason that if he's a farmer and these are his crops and he's been doing this for some time, if at all, that he would know how his crops work. He would know how they grow. These ones, just by looking at them, and I've examined this video many different times, I've blown it up, these look to be younger sunflowers. So it's not that people can't use the excuse like, oh, well, they just stopped facing the sun because, that's what they do whenever they're older in age. These look like a field of younger looking fresh sunflowers. They don't look like these ones that are a lot older. They don't look like this. They don't look like this. They look like a field of young sunflowers. So they should be following the sun. So it is strange and an anomaly. So when they start looking like this one, kind of wilted, or even this one right here where the leaves are kind of, wilted and not springy looking or anything, they won't face the sun. As you can see in this picture, the sun is way out there in the horizon and they're facing us, right? They're facing the other way. So it is an anomaly. Here's the life cycle of sunflowers, right? Here, they'll follow the sun. They'll follow the sun. They'll follow the sun. They'll follow the sun. And then right here is right about whenever this is their last stage of following the sun. Once they hit this, then it's likely that they will stop following the sun and they'll face eastward, okay? Now, this is a huge omen. Let's talk about the omen behind this. I want to leave up the little cartoon one. Okay, so what do I believe the reasoning for this is? Not just the old ones that stop facing the sun, but the younger ones as well. It is the sun itself, okay? The sun itself is no longer yellow. It is no longer a life-giving object. This is the sun, okay? You see the huge difference between that and, like any of these other pictures or even this cartoon one, right? This little, obviously it's a cartoon, but they made like a nice, shiny, ambient yellow sun. With that color, it's intuitive to people like myself, at the very least, that we know we're getting health from that. There's something good about this color of sunlight. But that is no longer the case for our sun, unless you're just catching it on its rise or its setting, right? Now, our sun, the sun up in the heavens, looks like this. It's no longer yellow. It is no longer, man, it really makes me redder, huh? It's no longer yellow. It is no longer orange. You don't have a yellow sun anymore. Superman, the whole lore about the sun being yellow, right? This is the color of the sun. It is blindingly pure white, whiter than white. So much so that it's affecting me. I know that. I used to spend like I said, I'm from Southern California. I used to go to the beach all the time. I used to be out in the sun all the time. I loved it. I got tan and all that stuff, because I was out in the sun all the time. What is this? I got a super chat from Susie Flat. A super chat from Susie Flat. It says, congratulations on 100,000. Thank you for my golden jelly, Susie. That was super. That's nice. Thank you. It's very helpful. So let's continue on. This is the color of the sun today when it's high noon, high up in the sky on a clear day. You see how there's blue? You see how there's a blue corona all the way around? You see that? That's because it's not just white. It's going through a color spectrum shift. It used to be more of an ambient yellow color, an orange color. And let me know in the chat if you remember this stuff too. That way it's not just me, remembering these things. And people can't just say it's a Mandela effect or whatever, okay? It's a color spectrum shift. Check this out. In case, there's academics out there watching, here's NASA's official website. And NASA says, but as can be seen in the image above, they have an image up there, the sun emits most of its energy around 500 nm, which is close to the blue-green light. Now they're starting to teach this to people. This is becoming a part of indoctrination. Oh, that's how it's always been. It all depends, and they're gonna spit this magic spells at you to try to convince you that, oh yeah, the sun's always been like that. Man, I gotta fix this light. What's up with my light source? Why is it doing that? It's so distracting. I don't like it. What if I turn that one off? Is that better? That sucks. Okay, forget it. I'm not going to mess with it. Anyways, NASA tells you the sun is now becoming blue-green. Okay? Look it up. Research it. Study it. Okay? It's not just me cherry picking like 2 articles or whatever. This is something I've been studying for some time now. This one is from Scientific American. It says, surprisingly, perhaps the sun is the brightest in the blue and the green parts of the spectrum. So teal, oftentimes the sun is actually, when you look up the scientific research behind what color the sun is, the word teal comes out a lot, right? This is not normal. This is a huge omen. This is a huge anomaly. Older people, no, look at it's the same color as my mouse. It's maybe even whiter than the mouse right there in the middle. That's pure, blindingly white. Okay, this is a huge omen. It's a color spectrum shift. The sun, which is a point of focus, a focal point up there in the heavens, under the dome, under the firmament, within our atmosphere, up there in the space that exists between the surface and the dome itself, that focal point is getting more focused. Whenever a light source becomes more focused, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. It also changes in color. So if you look up your different types of light bulbs that give off different types of heat and stuff, right? The cooler lights are more red spectrum. The hotter lights are more blue spectrum, right? This is blindingly white. This is too much. This is too hot. And it corresponds with an increase in heat in the atmosphere, which also gives off little eddies and currents and stuff of extreme heat that fluctuate between extreme heats and extreme cold, and that affects our weather the world across. This has so many of those dominoes, those implications, that I can't even keep track of how many there are. Now keep that in mind as we continue on in our headlines here and our omens. Let's move on to this next one. What is this? Pollution. This article says pollution of the potent warming gas methane soars and people are mostly to blame. Now I find it interesting that whenever the article says people are mostly to blame, but they have a herd of cattle, right? Domesticated animals as their picture. They say people are to blame, right? Think about what they're doing here. It's very subliminal. People are to blame. And then they show you a picture of cows. There's many things happening here. This is all messing with your mind, okay? One thing that's happening is they're saying, you're a cow. You're a cattle. This is you. They call this the goy in some regions of the world, okay? This is what they're saying by putting this. They're saying people are to blame. And then they show you a picture of all these cows staring right at you. The other thing is that we have been taught and indoctrinated to think that cows are farting a lot and it's releasing all this methane and we have all these cows everywhere and we need them for beef and this and that, right? Cow farts this is so dumb. God, I shouldn't even have to say this, but allow me to, because we're being taught this. We're being told this. These are expectations that are being set within our minds that cows farting because they release methane and anything else that farts is releasing all of this abundance of methane into the atmosphere. They're also blaming humans, as they always will, okay? So they're talking about humans, climate change, the atmosphere, the temperature increasing, and methane. And, oh, it's humans. It's human caused. Humans are doing these different things that contribute all of this methane into the air. I'm not going to get into the specifics of this article. What I am going to do is I'm going to share with you Mother Earth's contribution, okay? They always skip over that. They skip past. They don't give Mother Earth her respect that is due. She creates the gases. She made us, okay? And the animals and all this other stuff. I don't want to get too deep into creation and religion and beliefs and stuff, but here I ask ChatGPT, what are the natural sources of methane emissions? Natural sources of methane emissions from the earth include wetlands. So think about all the wetlands that exist on Earth. The largest natural source where anaerobic bacteria break down organic material, releasing methane. Termites. These insects produce methane as a byproduct of digesting wood and plant matter with the help of gut microbes. The oceans. This is a huge one. Methane is produced in ocean sediments by microorganisms and sometimes released through gas seeps. We're going to come right back to that. Permafrost as well. Everyone has heard that the permafrost is melting, right? It's permanent. It's not permanent, obviously, but it's frozen dead stuff. dead organic material, okay? From the last apocalyptic cycle we went through, there's a certain ring around there that's frozen, flash frozen, as there's a tempest that happens, and all of this cold air, I mean, things get sucked up into like a world storm, but there's also a downdraft from that world storm right around the Arctic Circle. And that's why you have permafrost in a circle perfectly all the way around the top of the world. And a lot of stuff dies and it gets frozen, okay? Permafrost releases methane as it's all that decomposing dead bodies and stuff. Hydrates. Methane is stored in solid form or ice under the sea floor as clathrate hydrates, which can be released naturally. Volcanoes and geothermic activity. Methane can be emitted through volcanic vents and geothermal processes. Wildfires, which, by the way, while it may be possible, okay, for the governments of the world to focus little laser beams and like randomly set forests on fire for whatever reasons because they don't like that area of Hawaii or they don't like that area in Greece or whatever, I don't know. I'm more inclined to blame Mother Nature, who releases gases from below that ionize or combust and spark wildfires. Now, I ask it for more detail about the oceans releasing methane. In oceans, methane is produced primarily in marine sediments through a process called methanogenesis, which occurs when microorganisms known as methanogens break down organic matter in the absence of oxygen. So, let me explain that in layman's terms. When you have an increase in the temperature in the ocean water, you will have a release of the oxygen that is contained and trapped within the water itself that marine life uses to breathe, that have gills, right? Like fish, okay? So when you have a huge die-off or suffocation of things like fish within the ocean water, which is rising in temperature, all those decomposing dead bodies will float down to the bottom where all of your sea spiders and sea scorpions that many people call seafood, they will start eating that crap, and all of the microorganisms will start feeding off of that, and they release methane in abundance. This is all a part of this huge chain. It's a domino effect from the focal point getting hotter, increasing the heat in the oceans. The earth on the inside is also warming up and getting hotter due to radioactive decay. Everything's getting much warmer, which is releasing all of the oxygen from the ocean, which is killing off a lot of sea life and stuff. That's just one thing that's killing off a lot of sea life. And they're decomposing, and it's releasing massive amounts of methane into the atmosphere. Has nothing to do with cows farting, has little to do with humans making machines and, all this human blame and stuff. Now, speaking of the sun, the focal point right there, the white focal point up there in the heavens getting hotter and more focused like a laser. And also speaking of toxins and other things, let's check out this article. I'm gonna play this for you. This is a news story from CBS. And hold on. This is the title. Can you see the title right there? Countering online sunscreen misinformation. Now, you got to be careful. I got to be careful. This is self-talk, okay? We live in 1984. I look sunburned right now. We live in 1984. There's something called newspeak in this book by George Orwell called 1984. Newspeak is this new terminology due to laws and restrictions and regulations and public hype and hysteria in the book, which is supposed to be a fictional book, 1984, people developed entirely new vocabularies. They weren't allowed to say certain words. Certain descriptions were off limits and stuff. So that gave rise to words like that one right there. Okay. Now this is all about sunscreen. So I'm going to share with you the CBS report on sunscreen. Feel free to comment because I'm going to, as we listen. And let me know, thumbs up in the chat if you can hear
this summer, an
what this lady's saying.
Movement is heating up online and spreading misinformation that could lead to potentially dangerous behavior. Now dermatologists are working to stop the trend and its source. CBS News confirmed tracked where the movement began and the real-life impact it's having on young people's.
Oh my God. Now, let's be clear. When anyone says the word misinformation, it means lies. Okay, it's harder to say than lies, but that's what it means. Okay, no, it's information that's not true. I've heard it. Okay, I've seen comments where people are like, oh, it's not lies. It's actually this. It's lies. Okay, stop lying to yourself. It means lies, not misinformation. It's either true or it's false. It's either right or it's wrong. Okay, let me just double check in the chat just to make sure you guys can hear this. Okay. I do see some thumbs ups. Thank you very much. Also, thank you again to Susie Flat so much. That was a very large donation. And I don't even know what to do with $50 except pay bills. So thank you. Maybe I will. Well, that'll help when I take my son to see Beetlejuice. I'm gonna take him this Friday to see Beetlejuice. So I'm pretty stoked about that. All right, let's get back to this little news story. Okay, I'm gonna slam all over this whole news story. Okay, let's have some fun.
Health. Meg Oliver has the story.
Stop using sunscreen, okay? The sunscreen chemicals seep into your bloodstream after just one day.
All right, so
social media influencers are throwing shade on sunscreen.
Ooh, social media influencers are throwing shade on sunscreen. So this entire video, and there's articles galore that are just like this. Why? Because there's a rise within various platforms and social media and stuff of people who are looking at ingredients. Thankfully, hold on, I gotta get situated here. People are reading the ingredients on the things that they're putting into and on top of and over their bodies, right? Sunscreen is one of those things. And there's a movement of people who are anti sunscreen, and they're like, hey, I don't think this is good for you. Here's why, right? Let me tell you something. Your skin absorbs whatever is put onto it. Okay. You don't have to just eat something or smell something or put it into your body purposefully. If it is on you, it has, especially if it's liquid in nature, your skin absorbs liquids. Okay. When you go in the shower and you take a shower, you're absorbing the shower water to a certain degree. So think about that.
Falsely claiming these products hurt your health.
Falsely claiming that these products hurt your health. Oh, okay. So this is the position. This is the position. They're not my position, but this is the position of the mainstream media and news and whatnot. They're against anybody saying anything bad about sunscreen. Who cares about sunscreen? I don't. Like, is it that important? Well, let's think about a couple of things here. Well, let me play a bit more.
Sunscreen because it's terrible for your skin. It's messing up your estrogen levels. It has a lot of bad toxic things inside of it.
Some even outlining how to make your own sunscreen right in the kitchen with clips.
All right, hold on. Let me skip forward a bit. So basically what they're saying is that there's lots of people who are trying to make their own sunscreen and stuff. Why is sunscreen that important all of a sudden? And why is it in the news and stuff? Let's listen some more.
Young Americans view sun safety.
A new study by Orlando Health found that 1 in 7 adults under the age of 35 say daily sunscreen use is more harmful than direct sun exposure.
Okay, so 1 in 7 adults under 35 believe sunscreen is worse than sun exposure. And there's a big fat fake yellow sun right there behind me, right? They should have a white one. These colors should be inverse, actually. So let's talk about this. What they're trying to say is that young people are stupid. They don't realize that, sunscreen is a helpful product because the sun causes cancer. Like, that's the other side. Well, on one side, one group is saying if you use sunscreen, you could get cancer. On the other side, they're like, no, yeah, but if you don't use it, the sun will give you cancer. Jesus, man. Like, no matter what, you're getting cancer. Okay, this is not good. The sun is harmful these days. Okay, it didn't always used to be that way, but it is now. Now it is burning things. Remember those sunflowers? Many of you have left me comments saying that you have gardens, and I've posted some videos and shared some videos of people with gardens, and their crops are being burned, cooked, while they're still on the stem, while they're still growing. The sun, all the record heats and all the stuff that we've been having lately, the sun is becoming hotter and hotter and hotter. It is acting like a microwave. And just like a microwave, it's changing, it's sending out its radiation, and it's becoming way more powerful. So that's why this is a huge deal right now.
That's 14% of the demographic.
Are you seeing an increase in patients who are anti-sunscreen?
100%.
Okay, now we're going to talk to an official lab coat wearing chick. Okay, so she has a lab coat, which means she knows what she's talking about. You know what? I'm going to buy a lab coat one of these days. I might rock a lab coat one of these days. That way I'll know what I'm talking about. You know, if you get one of these mythic lab coats, I feel like it's a video game, like a piece of armor that increases my intelligence level, like on Fallout or something. Anyways, she said, "Are you noticing?" Let me rewind that.
It was not like this before.
Dermatologists like Dr. Janine Downey say they're already...
And it was not like this before.
Anti-sunscreen?
100%.
Are you seeing an increase in patients who are anti-sunscreen?
Are you seeing an increase in patients who are anti-sunscreen? Listen to her response.
100%.
100% increase. That should tell you something, individual lady, when everyone is telling you, hey, I don't know, I heard this is probably maybe not a good idea. But the lady with the lab coat's like, oh, no, there's really good reasons. Let's check out the reasoning behind this.
It was not like this before.
Dermatologists...
This is called an anomaly. This is called an omen. When things change and they're not like that, like the way they once were and always were, this is an omen of the times.
Janine Downey say they're already seeing more cases of skin cancer in young adults.
2 weeks ago, I diagnosed 3 squamous cells and 2 malignant melanomas in 1 week, along with several basal cell carcinoma.
Well, the world is a sickly place, first of all, okay? It has nothing to do with, it doesn't always have something to do with sunscreen or the sun or whatever, right? There's a million reasons why people are sick and getting cancer and falling apart.
And that's me, just one little dermatologist.
A study late last year by
I'm
the
just a
Middlebury
dermatologist.
Institute...
Listen, I'm a dermatologist too, okay? I'm all these things that these people claim that they need a lab coat to declare their titles and certificates and diplomas and stuff. I'm all that stuff, just so you know.
International studies at Monterey examine misinformation around sunscreen and sun exposure. First, that sunscreen is cancerous or otherwise harmful, something dermatologists and researchers say is inaccurate.
I have a couple of patients that are like that. They only want the natural things, but I tell them all the time, the level of pollutants in the air.
Now, this pisses me off, actually. Okay, it frustrates me, I should say. Okay, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but this is the same type of thinking from these types of people that I have heard for so long, where they bargain and they barter and they trade reason for reason for continuing in nastiness. Okay, listen to what she's saying. I'm gonna play it and then I'm gonna rewind it because it's very important. And look at the pictures they're showing you too. This is all a part of the spell of the news stations. Okay, so they're showing you like hazy downtown Los Angeles or something. You know, smog. Oh, there's poison in the air already. Listen to this reasoning.
On a daily, weekly, and monthly basis is significantly more toxic than any chemical they're going to rub into their skin with sunblock.
Let's rewind. Hold on. Remember, this is an educated individual, Ivy League lab coat wearing type. Okay, listen to the reasoning. Her reasoning.
And researchers say is inaccurate.
I have a couple of patients that are like that. They only want the natural things, but I tell them all the time, the level of pollutants in the air on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis is significantly more toxic than any chemical they're going to rub into their skin with sunblock.
Oh, well, that sounds intelligent. You're already eating and breathing so much toxicity. This is way less than that. This is way less poison than all that other poison. Damn. She went to college to be taught this.
Another, that sunscreen doesn't allow the body to receive healthy benefits from the sun.
Is there any healthy amount of vitamin D exposure without sunscreen?
Vitamin D. Listen, I'm not going to go into all that. I'm going to be honest. I don't sun gaze. I don't stare at the sun. I don't like the sun. I used to when I was younger, but now it's very quickly becoming an enemy of mine. I don't like it. Okay. Anyways, this whole vitamin thing, okay? If you're eating healthy, if you're exercising, if you're living right in the way you're supposed to, you could be fine living underground. You could be fine living in caves. You could be fine living in the hollow earth. This is sun worship. It's a dependency upon the focal point up there in the sun that people decided to worship in place of the true light, the light of the world, the light that is given off by the earth itself in the form of these pillars and columns and places of power and stuff. They switched out one for the other. This is just different types of God worship, okay? This whole, I won't get my vitamin D. I need to get my vitamin D. Dude, okay, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know, man. Some things I can say, some things I can't.
I tell everybody no, because people don't use as much sunscreen as they should anyway.
She's saying, go ahead and put it on you. Just get it all over you. And you'll still get that vitamin D. It's just going to block out like harmful UV rays or whatever.
So it's really sunscreen and not sunblock, if I want to be specific, because it's not truly blocking out all of the sun's rays, Megs. It's screening them out.
Listen, let me explain something to you academics. Okay, now I'm just talking to academics. The body has built-in things to deal with problems. Okay, the body's not stupid. The body's been around for a while. It knows what the sun is. Okay, it adapts, and it's got something incredible called an immune system. It's got melanin, right? It also has melatonin. It's got melanin. It's got defense mechanisms that are in place to change and alter its course to protect you from diseases and to provide vitamins to you, and all the things that you need, you have in you already. If you go around screwing up your life by how we live, okay, I'm just speaking in general, but if humans go around screwing up their lives and being toxic and eating toxic and living and breathing toxic, then yeah, you're probably going to become toxic, all right? People just try to find all these shortcuts for it.
There's no evidence that sunscreens are unsafe. The FDA is now assessing how some ingredients are.
So it's called getting a tan, okay? Like if you go out in the sun and you constantly go out in the sun, you don't just stand there and just say, give me all your light, right? You're supposed to be doing things while you're out there in the sun, not just sitting there to get darker because darker is beautiful, or, you know, some people think darker is beautiful and lighter is beautiful, and it's gone back and forth over time. But this is just all these people that are just sitting there to get a tan is all in here, man. That doesn't make a person beautiful. Okay? I mean, not to me. To me, that's a whole different topic, okay?
Absorbed.
Beautiful is on the inside. This crap spread all over your face is disgusting to me, personally.
Bloodstream. And dermatologists say the
But I'll get a sunburn. Well, then don't stay out in the sun for so long. Go out a little bit at a time every day, and your body will start developing an immunity. It'll start getting darker naturally.
Or outweigh any risks and recommend its use.
It's actually protecting you a whole lot more.
Dr. Shireen Idris is a dermatologist in New York, taking the fight against misinformation directly to those platforms.
A beautiful sunscreen.
Posting videos to educate users about different skincare and sunscreen routines.
Yeah.
I think as a viewer, it's so important that you go and look into the sources that your favorite content creator is using before fully adopting or believing what it is that they're saying.
Okay, that was just all gibberish, which means anything other than what I'm telling you is a lie. These people, they walk around the truth, they beat around the bush, or they walk around their own lies. And she just basically said, anyone that says otherwise is a big fat liar. They're lying to you. They're misleading you. Do people do that? Yes. Am I telling you one way or another? No. I think many of you are intelligent enough to figure it out on your own.
Google Trends show terms like what does skin cancer look like and sunscreen are being searched more than ever in the U.S.
There's a reason why.
Accurate skincare information is still breaking through for many beachgoers.
How important is sunscreen to you? It's very important because on my face, I like to make sure I don't get skin cancer.
Oh, it's very important because like on my face, I like to make sure that I don't get like skin cancer on my face. Everywhere else is fine, but I don't like skin cancer on my face. So like I like to put sunscreen just on my face all over.
I feel like it's mildly important.
Yeah. I don't burn
I
easily,
feel like
so
face is the most important, and then that's face.
It's not. To me, it's not important at all. I don't care. I don't do that. I don't do any of that crap. But I will tell you this: the sun is dangerous. Okay, and there will come a time when it's going to start burning people's bodies, plants, all kinds of stuff, because it's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter.
Basically it.
Dermatologists recommend wearing sunscreen, reapplying often, using protective clothing with ultraviolet protection factor or UPF, UV visors that protect face, neck, and chin.
How about just don't go out in the sun? If this is a big fat problem for you, stay out of the sun. So just don't go out into the sun. It's your body's telling you no, okay? Use sunscreen as number 1 on their list. Wear protective clothing. Now, that is of particular interest to me. Wear protective clothing to keep the sun from hurting you. Does that sound familiar? Maybe something along the lines of our legends and lore and myths and movies and stuff, right?
Chest.
Protect your face, like wearing a veil. Protect your neck, like popping your collar, having huge collars. Protect your chest and wear UV visors.
And avoid prolonged exposure in direct sunlight between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. For CBS Saturday Morning,
you see that green water?
Long Branch, New Jersey.
That's also not good.
And use it right. I mean, most of the recommendations or directions for sunscreen, you're supposed to apply it
many times.
No, 15 minutes before.
People are experts, right?
Look,
you're supposed. Listen. Look, you're talk show hosts. I don't care what your opinion on the subject is at all. Okay, you're actors, and you're, for the most part, you're reading scripts. Anyways, I don't want to get too off topic myself. Now, let's go back just a bit where it said that little list. Where's that list? There we go. Now, check out this little list that they have, right? Staying safe in the sun. Time, as we experience it, is cyclical. The things that happen in this world are cyclical. The things that once were a long time ago that we consider to be myths and legends and lore and fiction and outright lies or misinformation, as if they were real, come right back around, right? There are stories of a race of beings who were very white-skinned, fair-skinned, and they were called vampires. It is a race of beings known as, or over time they have become cartoonified as vampires, and they don't like the sun, very pale. That's because they're photophobic. I just recently did a little collaboration with Understanding Conspiracy, and he wrote the book The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. This is what we were discussing. This is how it appears to me, and my take on it is that these Nephilim, these fallen angels, these heavenly beings, or fractalverse travelers as I call them, when they come into this world and there's a point of focus down here that's caused by a firmament and a dome above us redirecting the light that's around it, which is the light of the heavens. Because the heavens are not black. The heavens are not dark. There's no void out there. It's the fullness. It's full. It's bright. It's beautiful. That's what heaven is. Everyone knows that. But we have this contradiction that exists between a left brain and right brain. On one hand, you ask people what's above them, and they'll say, oh, it's dark. It's empty. It's a vacuum. There's nothing up there except far away. You can't even get to it. And on the other side, you ask them about heaven, which is more the creative side of their mind. And they'll go, oh yeah, heaven's beautiful. It's bright. It's full of stuff, and there's angels. And if you ask them to draw heaven, they're not going to get out the black crayon. Anyways, these are what vampires were. This is why vampires have huge collars to protect them from the sunlight, and they carry around cloaks and capes and huge hoodies and stuff. These hoodies today are lame, dude. They're too small. Like the actual hood part, it's tiny. The hood should be a huge hood. It's like a cloak. You know what I mean? So they're telling you, no, don't worry about the ingredients, right? This reminds me, and I talk about this often, of Batman, the original Michael Keaton Batman. There's a scene where the Joker, right? He's sitting on the beach and he's holding up what looks like suntan lotion. And he says, these are Joker brand products. And what was happening, and they look like they're covered in sunscreen. Do they not? Right? He's like, anyone that used these Joker brand products, which have this X chemical inside of each one of them, they all started laughing and laughing until they died. Right? These are all the scoffers in the world today. These Joker brand products were in the movie put into all the different chemicals. Right? So Joker comes on TV and there's this laughing epidemic. And he says, chances are you've bought them already. Right? And it's all these Joker brands. Right? This is one of them. Okay? This is one of the Joker brand products. It's not just that product that we were just discussing. It's many of them all combined together. And this is the lifestyle that we live. Right? Speaking of the Joker, here's a little meme that somebody did, or I don't know what to call that. It's pictures or whatever. Mark Zuckerberg with all this sunscreen all over his face. And they compared him to looking like an old school Joker who's out surfing on vacation or whatever. Right? So I also found an interesting correlation because I do truth in movies, truth in fiction. RoboCop 2 has a commercial for Sunblock 5000. Right? And they're talking about way in the future, the sun is so harmful. They have to cake on all this blue. By the way, it's blue. I just thought of this too. This fictitious sunblock that's being advertised in RoboCop 2 is blue because that is the color that is reflected back. So all the people that were thinking about like, why doesn't the blue stuff burn, in Maui and stuff like that, right? Well, if the sun is turning blue, and let's just say that the sun has something to do with it. Let's just suppose, right? Or there's some blue light or blue beam or blue energy or blue laser or whatever it may be. If it's blue, the blue color of whatever's down here, it reflects back that light. So it reflects back that blue light. And blue light is one of the hottest light sources that there is. This sunblock, this fictitious sunblock, is all blue. This lady puts it on in the future whenever the sun is really messed up, right? That's because our sun is shifting into the blue spectrum or the bluish green spectrum, which is her exact color in the movie. Up here, obviously, you've read it by now. Surgeon General's warning, caution, frequent use will cause skin cancer. Not that anybody cares, because nobody cares about Surgeon General or his warning or any of this stuff. They're just going to do what they want to do. But this is the truth in fiction, truth in science fiction and stuff. Now, let's move on. This artificial intelligence recreates images from the brain, from brain waves, more accurately than ever before. Well, that's not only is this news, to people like me, that AI is now being implemented in machines and stuff to record your brain waves, to eavesdrop into your mind, into your thoughts. But now it can draw pictures of exactly what it is you see, what you're looking at. Let's check out some examples here. So on the top, these are pictures that were shown to a monkey. And on the bottom, these are artificially intelligence used recreations of what it saw based on the information that was given to it through the brain waves. Basically, it can now just take your fluctuations in your own little algorithm of your brain, and it knows what you're thinking. It can see what you see. Okay, original images were seen by a monkey on the top row. The image is reconstructed by AI based on brain recordings from a monkey on the second row. This is the reality. This is what the AI saw based on a bar graph. You know what I mean? Based on the way that your brainwaves function and stuff, right? Researchers have developed mind-reading AI technology that can reconstruct the images that a brain is seeing with unprecedented accuracy. Now, this is a huge omen just of the times that we live in and the conditions of the world that we live in today. Technology out of hand always happens, I've found, right before an apocalyptic event. This is the classic Tower of Babel that happened, right? And in the Bible it says that when God looked down and saw this, that it was said, mankind has come to the point where anything they put their minds to, they can do it. Now, that in and of itself is not a problem. The condition of those who have that power is the problem. If they're bad people, that's a power that we don't want them to have, because that can make them our enemies. That can make them destructive to nature and to themselves and to us, or whoever it may be, right? So it's the condition of humans is the problem, not our ability to do anything that we set our minds to. It's what's on our minds that is the problem, collectively, from my perspective at the very least. And this is another omen. Before the Tower of Babel, all the world spoke in one language. They communicated in one language. I believe, and I have for quite some time now, that original language is telepathy. That's the way it once was. And in the future, when our atmosphere is electrically amplified once again, which will happen, telepathy will return to the people. Now, if these top row represents our thoughts, even though it's a monkey, okay, it doesn't matter. It's probably even better with human. If this represents our thoughts or what we see, right? We need to learn how to change how we think so that our thoughts cannot be read. You have to learn to guard your mind. Okay? Just people have grown too secure in thinking that you're able to hide your inner secrets, your inner thoughts, your, whatever it may be, good, bad, and ugly. Okay. When there is telepathy, and there's a few movies that are actually all about this, right? When telepathy is reintroduced, women actually are naturally better at guarding their thoughts, and they don't think as much directly. That's more of a male masculine energy, is to put things out there, right? So it's more difficult in a telepathic environment for men to guard their thoughts and to keep secrets or something, because that's their natural intuitive energetic way. It's a male energy, is to go outward, to share, to put things out there, to create, to do this and that. Women are naturally energetically intuitive, and they pull things inward, they collect energy inward, and so on and so forth, right? So if you don't want everyone just freely knowing whatever's on your mind and all of your secrets in your mind whenever we go through this next shift and telepathy is reintroduced, which I believe it totally will be, now is the time to start practicing. So how do you practice changing your thoughts so that computers in the modern age can't just read it, right? I mean, imagine they just put this kind of technology in stores and stuff, like how they have security cameras now. What if they just have thought cameras all over the place? God dang, man. Like, you need to start practicing right now how to change the way you think so that your thoughts can't just be read by a robot or by another human in the future when telepathy is reintroduced. But let's focus on the modern world, right? How do you do this? You have to start thinking in terms of feelings and just being an observer instead of logging away every little thing, and stop thinking in words. Okay. I know many of you do this because I've done this, and I still do sometimes, but I catch myself. Stop thinking in words. If you hear an inner monologue, that means it's easier for computers and stuff to just take those little energetic signatures that correlate with those glyphs and those letters and words, and they can know exactly what you're thinking. They could probably type it out. If they can do pictures, they can easily do letters, I promise. Start thinking more in terms of just witnessing, just being there, just observing, not so much soaking it in and making such a big deal about it. This is hard for me to explain because it's more of an intuitive thing. Women probably, I would assume, could get it a little easier, okay, because it comes more naturally to them. Think in terms of emotion. Allow yourself to feel things instead of cataloging what you see and putting it into all these little boxes and logging it away. Just let it be. Acknowledge it, that's what it is, and focus more on your feelings, because these are not feelings. This is just information, right? This is just information. It's pictures or letters, that it could be. But if you start thinking in terms of feelings, that can't be read by computers and robots and stuff. Okay. Use more of your right brain as well. All right. Anyways, let's move on from that one. A few people have sent me this: lightning on the moon. This is a moon discharge. I'm just going to play a quick little clip of this because I don't know where this original video came from. But somebody was recording the moon and pow. Okay. Now let's talk about the obvious. Could this be, just manipulated video or totally not real? Yes, it could be, but it represents something that is totally real. right? And there's audio, that's really entertaining audio. People are like, oh my God, and they're freaking out and stuff, right? It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It still represents an omen, and it represents something that's very real in our world today, which I've done videos about, called Project Moonblink. Sorry to put the super bright screen on you guys, but Project Moonblink. Have you ever heard of this? You've heard of Project High Jump, Project Fishbowl, Project Dominic, but have you ever heard of Project Moonblink, orchestrated by NASA? Right? This is the actual document that I looked it up, and you can look it up too and get a copy of it. Project Moonblink, which was done by the Goddard Space Flight Center. And what year was this? October of 1966 is when they started Project Moonblink. What is Project Moonblink? Essentially, this was a, I don't want to say secret, but it's a NASA government, which NASA is your government. Please keep that in mind, okay? So if you don't like the government, then you should probably not be wearing NASA t-shirts and crap. This is a project that was undergone by NASA because there were so many reports of strange and anomalous things happening on and with the moon, especially lights being seen on the moon, weird lights, flashes of lights, strange things. I'm going to read this to you. I'm just going to read the little introduction. All right. Where did I have the little introduction? There it is. Introduction and background. Now, I'm just going to read the little introduction. This is their introduction to Project Moonblink. Let me shrink it down a little bit. Hold on, it's a little too big there. There we go. All right, prologue. There have been some puzzling reports over the years. Before 1843, astronomers listed Lynn as normal but step-walled crater about 5 miles in diameter. This is a crater on the moon. In 1866, Schmidt, a famed astronomer, reported that Lynn was not a crater at all, but looked more like a whitish cloud. Later, observers disagreed with both descriptions, saying it was a low mound or a dome, about 4 miles across, with a deep crater 1 mile in diameter at its top. This is very interesting to me. Much later, in 1961, Patrick Moore, one of the foremost contemporary lunar astronomers, was astonished that this crater, Lynn, appeared to be a normal crater about 3 miles in diameter. Moore examined it with 2 telescopes and then called another astronomer. He examined it with a 3rd instrument and reported a similar, inexplicable appearance. The following night was cloudy, but the next night Lynn appeared as Moore had always seen it, a gently rounded dome. You see that? With a small crater on top. So, in short, people were looking up at the moon, and what once looked like craters now appeared to be domes. This is all optical effects. Remember, what you see and what we call the moon, which is a luminary, it's a light in the sky, it's a hologram, is a projected image of a portion of the actual firmament. Being such, it is inverted. It's upside down and inside out. So what we call craters, many of those are probably more likely to be domes, if that's the case. So they attribute this to unusual lighting effects. During the past 10 years, several incontrovertible observations have been reported of unusual color activity on or just above the lunar surface. Lights. These may be divided into 2 categories: those events localized to a few square miles of lunar area and those covering a significant portion of the lunar surface. Insufficient evidence exists at the present time to determine whether these 2 types of events are similar or dissimilar in nature. However, they both manifest themselves in the red portion of the visible spectrum. The localized observations to date have occurred most frequently in 2 lunar areas, the Aristarchus region and the Alphonsus region. Now, in layman's terms, all this means, and I'm going to get out of that bright light, all this means is that there were so many strange anomalies being seen and recorded by people the world across on and with the moon that NASA took it seriously. And they said, we need to document this. And they actually enlisted the help of anyone that was recording, like amateur astronomers and stuff. And they were collecting all this information about weird anomalies and strange lights that people were seeing on the moon. And unusual characteristics of the moon changing, like craters disappearing, or all of a sudden seeming like they were domes instead of craters, right? Interesting stuff. So is this real? It doesn't matter. It represents an omen. It's also an electrical thunderbolt, or the thunderbolt of the gods. This can happen because this object, which is a luminary, is within our heavens. It's under the dome. It's within the sky. Okay, it's not out there in the vacuum of space or anything stupid. Coleman Bence, hey, welcome to my channel. All right, so let's continue on. Not a meteor, not a comet. SpaceX's Polaris Dawn launch was spotted across the Philadelphia area. So check this out.
Well, 4 civilians are on their way to making history in space. SpaceX launched the Polaris Dawn before sunrise this morning. The mission is heading to Earth's radiation belts, making it the highest any human has flown since the Apollo program. The crew.
So SpaceX is launching this this rocket, and they're calling this mission Polaris Dawn. Polaris is the pole star, the North Pole star. That is at the apex of the dome or the firmament. It's actually just a little focal point right underneath it, okay? So they're going to the heavenly North Pole, okay? If there is a firmament and a dome, as I believe that there is a central star right in the middle at the apex, not the North Star, which is a projection, okay? But there's a real actual physical body up there, which is a part of the firmament, which it looks like an eyeball facing us, basically. And they're launching to go up towards that thing. They say we're going to go study the Van Allen belts. Well, they're so mixed up about what the Van Allen belts are. It's an area of extreme radiation, and, we can't go in there, says NASA. Yet Elon and his crew are boldly going up into the extremely radioactive areas.
The crew will also try to conduct the first ever private spacewalk. And in Florida, that's where the rocket took off. But if you were up early this morning, you may have even seen it here.
You guys see that? So some people thought this was a comet or something. And listen to what he's going to say, and then I'm going to comment.
View from Phoenixville as the rocket soared into the atmosphere for its historic mission.
Oh, the rocket soared into the atmosphere. There's no mention of, look how weird that looks in the sky. Look how strange that is. How many people, okay, in the chat by a show of emojis are old enough to remember when rockets never did that? Not one rocket. Not during the 60s when they were going to the moon, not during the 70s, not during the 80s, not during the 90s. I've never in my life until just recently in the past decade seen rockets turn into comets in the frickin' air. Ever. They blast off and they leave little trails of smoke, just little lines, and then they go up and then they come right back down, basically, right? But they don't look like comets. They don't look like they're going up there and splashing into the waters above and leaving behind some huge trail and hitting things and things of that nature. Why don't they talk about that? How come they don't mention, this is weird. This is strange that we're seeing these afterglow weird lights all over the place. Sometimes they're spirals. Sometimes look like little galaxies that are created by rockets and stuff. How come they're not making a big deal that this never once happened before, but all of a sudden, well, that's Elon's rockets. I don't know. They always do that, but they never did that before. This is a huge omen. Okay, which tells us that there's something different that happened between the old school rockets that used to blast off, allegedly, and go up into space and the moon and stuff, and these new ones that interact with the atmosphere in a completely different way. Either that or the atmosphere has changed and is now different than the way it once was, right? Something has changed. This is indicative of a change, and therefore it is an omen to me. I got a golden jelly from Kenny LOL, and he says, "Howdy Jay, your books are available for purchase." Yes, they are. You can actually buy them on Amazon right now. The whole update on my website is let's see, when do I get paid again? So after my next paycheck comes in, I'll be able to purchase in bulk a whole bunch of copies of my own books and stuff, and I'll just be selling them. You guys will be able to get things like custom JayDreamerZ bookmarks. I've got some examples right here. Mini posters. These are really cool. So I've got these mini posters that I'm making. They're limited edition. And on the back, each one will have a number because there's only going to be a certain amount amount of them that I'm making. So for example, this is my Return to Hyperborea one. And here's one that says Center Yourself. This is one of my favorites right here. So I got these little mini posters. If you buy my books from me within this next month, I'll start selling them myself. Then you'll get autographed copies and all this other merch and stickers and all this fun stuff. But thank you for asking. All right, let's continue on. Canada man spots suspicious pit on Google Maps. Experts, whoever they are, says it could be meteorite impact crater. Right there. You see that? I don't see a meteorite impact crater. I can see how there's sort of a circular, something shadowy shape right there. But the reason I want to talk about this, I want to talk about impact craters. Okay? The craters, most craters, from my perspective, my research, that I've seen, especially when I'm going to Meteor Crater in Arizona and examining the place in detail, which I have a video of for, I think it's a members video, for myself. That is not an impact crater from a rock. This is frustrating to me that they're teaching children and grown people this, that there's space rocks. And they're flying faster than the speed of light. And I'm going to make it sound ridiculous because it is ridiculous, okay? And there's space rocks flying, and here's the Earth, pow! And it disintegrates the metallic space rock, and it's gone. There's no evidence of it. Listen, if this was an impact crater from a space rock, you should expect to see a freaking space rock right in the center of it. That's just common sense. That's just what you would expect to be there. Oh, it's going so fast. Dude, if it was going that fast and made of solid metal, it would puncture the Earth. It would go right through it, okay? At the speeds that they say that these space rocks fly. No, this is electrical thunderbolts. This is electricity. Bam! Discharge from the heavens that happens during the plasma apocalypse, and it just blows out all that sand and debris and other stuff, and it leaves craters and stuff with no trace of anything having hit it. Listen, you can do an experiment to prove this whole impact crater thing is garbage. Go, and this is a simple explanation, okay? You could ramp it up, you could speed it up, however you want to, but go grab yourself a nice solid rock or a piece of metal and throw it at the ground as hard as you can and tell me if it disappears. I mean, I don't mean like goes into the dirt and is covered by dirt. I mean, it disintegrates completely. Okay. When I was in the Marine Corps, we used to have to like check our rifles with these barrels that are full of sand and stuff. And you'd have to shoot it and hopefully there's no round in it and it would go into the sand. Right. But if you had it and they let us do it a couple times to see what it's like too, when I was out in the Middle East. But you discharge it into this barrel of sand. The bullet doesn't disappear. It doesn't just obliterate and it disintegrated. It's just so fast. It's speeds you just can't understand. No. Okay. It's electricity that causes these things. These are thunderbolts that strike the Earth and they don't leave any trace behind. Okay. It's not that there are not the possibility of some sort of rocks that are up there, in the buoyant spaces between here and the firmament. Yes, I acknowledge that could be a possibility, but no, man, they're distracting us from the electromagnetic aspect of it. These are clear markings of the thunderbolts of the gods, fire from the heavens that came down and destroyed entire cities like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Which means it's electromagnetic in nature, which means you could figure out how it works. It's not just some random incident of just some random rock randomly hitting some place. It's not caused by rocks, okay? Or dirt clods or metallic objects. Definitely not by cryogenic freaking volcanic comets, okay? There's no such thing. I'm telling you right now. Let me help you out, okay? If your kids are watching. There's no such thing as many things that are described within academics, but especially things like flying cryogenic ice volcanoes, comets. Okay. We've talked about that so many times. It's irritating. The concept. Tourists are encroaching on a grizzly bear and reportedly ignore the park ranger's instructions at Yellowstone National Park. So here's this video. This woman over here, she was like, down there in the plains, there's like a grizzly. So all these people are stopping on the highway. This lady got out and there's all these official cops, forest rangers or whatever. They're cops, dude. Okay. And this guy's like, hey, get away. You need to get away from that bear. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous situation. There's two things wrong here. One is that people are this stupid. This is an omen of the times that we live in, okay? Everything is degrading. Morality is one of those things that's degrading. Another thing is people's energy levels. And directly related to energy levels is people's intelligence levels. How fast your synapses can work and fire off, and which parts of your brains are activated. And, you only have enough energy to run the basic parts of the brain, which is why people are acting basic these days. Okay, they think basic, they act basic, they're base. Okay, they're base, and they vibe with bass. That's why all the music, people only care about that bass. They only care about the beat. They don't even know what the words are. They don't even know what the words of the song are. My point is, this is one problem. The people. This is why people think it's funny when I say don't pet the Fantazoids. Like that would be an obvious thing, right? Some people are not going to listen. You're going to go pet some unicorn and you're going to get impaled by it. Possibly. You could. Some will. You could go pet a unicorn, a Fantazoid, or whatever, and take your chances, and there may be nice ones out there, and you might be okay. But monsters are real. There's otherworldly creatures and animals from within the earth and up in the heavens that will come down into this world. Not only could they pose a danger themselves, but even if they're friendly, they might be sick with some otherworldly T-virus that you have no idea what it is, and then you get infected or whatever. It just sneezes on you or something nasty, right? Anyway, so this is one problem. People are stupid. People are they have a low intelligence. They don't have any common sense whatsoever. They're entitled. They feel protected by a system that this guy right here represents. Well, I can get close to the wild grizzly bear because, it won't hurt me. It's not allowed to. I'll take it to court. I'll sue that grizzly bear. It's kind of like the mindset that I get from these people. People all over the place taking selfies with wild bison, freaking wild cats, giant cats, bears, all kinds of things. And they're super entitled, all to get some glory or fame, or I don't know what it is for, but these people are dumb, man. They're not going to survive, okay? This world once belonged to the animal kingdom. It will be given back to the animal kingdom. The humans will lose all their technology, all their weapons, and they will be in hiding for decades and decades, okay? Now, the other problem is this guy who represents the system, right? There shouldn't be this person there. Let that person go to the grizzly bear. Allow nature to take its course. Okay? But you just saved this lady. She's going to go off and procreate, and she's going to have kids, and they're going to have kids. And imagine what that's going to be like 100 years from now when you got like 400 versions of this, which are degrading over time and getting worse and worse. And that takes us to the truth in movies, Idiocracy. Right? We don't need this in any way, shape, or form. I don't, okay? Some of you, maybe you do, because you've fallen victim to the great scam. I don't know how else to say it, okay? I don't need these people. Not one bit. I desire and have within me the ability to protect myself. That is what I wish for me and for all of you. I don't wish anyone to protect you. I wish for you to protect yourself. I don't wish for anyone to provide you benefits. I wish for you to benefit yourself. If you're unable to do so or unwilling to do so, then I wish for the plasma apocalypse to come and for the sky to open and suck you right up into Kronos' mouth where Medusa can eat you up and spit you out the other side. Okay? Not because I hate you, not because it's like, I don't like you as a person or whatever. It's because I want what is good for other things in this world. It's my energy that I wish to amplify, which is good on the inside. I wish for good things, for healthy things, for things that are wholesome and pure and loving and kind and promote life. You know what I mean? So this is the other problem. People rely upon the system to protect them. You know what I mean? And it's not just forest rangers, it's cops and judges, and it's the whole system, okay? Oh, well, I mean, it's illegal to take matters into your own hands quite often, at least here in the United States. I once actively looked out of my front window, saw someone breaking into my car, called 911 just because I wanted to cover my bases. I was about to go out there and whoop that person. But 911 basically said, if I do that, I'm going to get arrested. I swear. This is a real conversation I had with the police. They threatened me and told me if I go down there and stop that person from breaking into my car, I'm going to go to jail. And I didn't even know how to respond in that moment. I was frustrated for so many reasons, man. Season of Satan. That's all I'm saying. Season of Satan. All right, next up. Asteroid detected headed for Earth burns up in spectacular fireball. Okay, show me a rock just burning up. I mean a solid rock, a stone, burning up. Don't show me lava. Lava is melted metals that have dirt and stuff mixed in with it, okay? Aside from lava, throw a rock through the air, shoot a bullet, shoot anything through the air, and it can't be a tracer around or anything like that, and show me rocks just catching fire. Anywhere. Show me. Just go ahead. Show me any example of that, okay? And I will show you plasma. I will show you ionized gases. I'm not saying that things can't cause friction and cause the air around them to ionize. Yes, sure. But the rocks themselves don't just, oh, it's going so fast. Oh, it got so hot. It just disintegrated or whatever. Otherwise, it'd just be lava splattering into the earth all over the place. Watch this video. They will tell you this is a rock, a space rock. You see that? Let's watch that again. I'm going to keep on playing this bad boy. Asteroid detected hold on, let me talk about this word asteroid real quick. Asteroid means star-like. Aster essentially means star, okay, without getting too deep into it, okay? Esther, Aster, Easter, all this stuff, east, even the word east, is related to stars, okay? This is a staroid, or it's star-like. Stars are not rocks, even according to modern academics. They're not stones, they're not solid objects, they're gaseous plasma. So even the name asteroid means plasma-like, okay? Asteroid detected heading for Earth burns up. It's not a rock. In a spectacular fireball. Watch it slow down too. When you see, you're going to see a lot of these. These are the gases that are being released from the Earth. Going down. Oh man. All right, so we get to see it again. Notice the colors. Those are the gases that are being ionized. Methane, you know what color methane ionizes when it becomes ionized? This color. Also oxygen, okay? The Earth is releasing all of these gases. There are electrical currents up there high in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is electrical in nature. It's electromagnetic. Sometimes that electricity or that electrical current amplifies and energizes the gases that are around it. Those gases become plasmas and they follow the electrical current, oftentimes grounding themselves or coming down towards the Earth. And they slow down when they get towards the bottom too. If that's a rock traveling at terminal velocity or whatever, that bad boy is not going to slow down at all. Next up. Oh, we talked about that one already. I went backwards. Hold on. We talked about the stupid people. Oh, Cheetos in caves. Let's talk about Cheetos in caves real quick, okay? Now, I will tell you, I'm just going to be transparent. Your governments, the people who are in control of you as a slave, okay? I am also a slave, right? There's various levels, degrees of slavery, okay? But we're all slaves, okay? There's not real too many free people in the world today. They do not want you to go into the earth. They will tell you, well, it's for your safety, which goes back to this guy, right? Oh, for your safety, I'm a hired goon. I'm here to tell you what to do, where you can go, where you can't go, what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. No, man, that's slavery. No matter how you slice it, that is slavery. They do not want you to go into cavernous systems. All of your caves are, for the most part, off limits. Why? I'll tell you the real reason, and I'll make it plain to you. There is power in the earth. There is energy. These are places of power where all those, remember how I told you that there's ionized beams of ionized gas, basically, that shoot out in those pillars and columns and stuff? Well, when they retract, they don't just all suck into the heart of the earth and they're just gone, right? It's just like a liquid. Like it goes down slowly over time, okay? And it leaves places within the earth charged with energy, terrestrial energy, good earth life-giving energy. And they want that energy to themselves. And they don't want you to get it. Why? Because you'll develop visions. You'll see the truth. You'll it can give you things like telepathy and give you access to the records that the Earth herself stores. Information. They don't want you to have all that information, especially about the reality of the world that you live in or the leaders that run your world. What's the article about? So they've outlawed going into caves. The only time they allow this is when it's a guided tour throughout specific sections of approved cavernous systems. But they don't want you to touch anything. Definitely don't touch the walls. Don't touch the earth, because that energy will transfer to you or has the potential to transfer to you. They don't want you to touch it. Why? You know what their stupid reason is? Your oily fingerprints are going to get all over the cave and then the stalactites will stop growing. It's a cave, man. It's survived the test of time. It's completely solid rock. Oops, hold on. Sorry, I was touching my controllers here. All right. Let me just back up my little TV light source. Ooh, that's all scary looking now. Anyways, it's a cave. It's fine. Okay, a bag of Cheetos, not going to destroy all life in this cavernous system. That's what they're trying to say. Okay, your fingerprint not going to prevent stalactites from growing ever again or whatever. Okay, which I don't even believe their official version. But this article says U.S. cave systems, bats and insects face an existential threat. Discarded Cheetos. A full bag of the snack was left in a cave occasioned in National Park Service to educate public about delicate ecosystems. A full bag of Cheetos discarded by a subterranean visitor to the big room in Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico has led to the U.S. National Park Service to issue a warning that discarded food could have a huge impact on the cave's delicate and at-risk ecosystem. Basically what they're saying is that when this person dropped this bag of Cheetos, that it started to decay and the bacteria got in there and it's just spread everywhere all throughout the cave system, and bats are dying and insects are dying. I'm embellishing, okay? But that's the picture that they're painting for us. All right? This little bag of Cheetos, although litter is bad and I don't support litter or anything, this is not going to destroy the cave or anything like of the such, okay? They're keeping you out of these cave systems because they're places of power. They want you out. They will only give you a guided tour. You can't just go down into Carlsbad Caverns all by your lonesome, okay? You need permission. You can't just go down into any of them, okay? I've got some videos here on my channel of me visiting my local cave areas, and they put up solid steel thick doors blocking off entrances to caves for your safety. Well, you could die in there, okay? But and yet they let people, just morons, drive past each other at 90 miles an hour within a few feet on the roads every day. But I don't want you to go into a cave. Why not? If you die in there, you're already buried. Nature will take care of your body, I promise. Okay? All those insects and bats, that'll be a lovely dinner for them. They don't care about your safety. They care about your empowerment. Next up, the unexpected happened on the moon 120 million years ago. I forgot why I pulled this up. Had something to do with the moon. Oh, water. Okay, well, there's water. Listen, that's not a solid object, okay? There's no such thing as 120 million years ago. That's probably why I pulled this up, okay? I don't believe in 120 million years, just like I don't believe in 120 million miles, all right? These are just fictitious numbers that, like, think about it. If someone is actually trying to get you to think about what happened 120 million years ago, right? This is academics. What if I started speaking on 120 million years from now? Are you going to care? Is it going to be of any interest to you whatsoever, except for you're just like, that's fiction? Well, why is it that we don't apply that same logic to the past when academics tells us what happened 120 million years ago, right? But I can tell you in the ancient past, something did happen to the real moon, the physical part of the firmament above us. It split, it opened up, and it's going to happen again. This moon that I call the luminary, this will change colors. It will become blue at the very end, just as well as the sun, and then it will disappear. And then when it reappears, it'll be red. It'll go from the blue spectrum back to the red spectrum. All right, next up. Oh, here we go. Dinosaurs in the snow. This is beautiful. They also do this with woolly mammoths and stuff like that. Large theropod dinosaurs thrived in polar environments. By polar, they mean the South Pole. Now check this out. Let's see what this says here. A recent discovery of dinosaur tracks. Sorry, one sec. Gotta breathe. A recent discovery of dinosaur tracks along Australia's southern coast, way down under. Dating back to the early Cretaceous, when the continent was still connected to Antarctica. I mean, it is still connected to Antarctica, right? There is an ocean on the land that connects it, or a flood waters, but it's still connected. Everything's connected. Suggests that the large theropod dinosaurs thrived in this polar environment. So they're showing you a picture of the dinosaur in the snow because this is Antarctica. And they're saying, oh, you know, they used to live down there in Antarctica or whatnot, right? Just like they show you the woolly mammoths in the snow up there in the Arctic regions. Let me show you the reality behind the fictitious academics. This is a gigantic map that was drawn in the Middle Ages, in the medieval times. Okay, this was made by a man named Urbano Monte. Now, in this map, you can see all the way around the edges, this is Antarctica. This is the edge outside portion of the world. Beyond this is where the firmament would come down. Now, here you can make out the shape of Africa. Over here, you can make out the shape of South America. This is Baja. This is America, which means over here somewhere where you see these Polynesian islands should be Antarctica. I mean, not Antarctica, Australia, right? But Australia on this map is still connected to Antarctica, or the ring of the elevated land around the outside of our world, because this is a crater. See how big it is? The water is filling up the low places. Okay, wherever there's land, that's high places. So there is a rim of the world. It goes all the way around. Those are high mountainous areas, huge, high elevated places that go up as the earth goes up, right? There's also one in the middle. Now, this is where Australia used to be, right? Once the floodwaters kept on rising and stuff, right? The lower areas filled up with water, and it gave us Australia, basically. Now, are there dinosaurs in Antarctica? Let's check this map. Here, you can see many different examples of mythic and legendary creatures, including what appear to be dinosaurs in the region of Australia, ancient Australia, and Antarctica, right? But as you can see, there's trees. It's green. There's life all over the place. It wasn't always just some freezing cold, barren place, right? There's an elephant right here. There's giant birds all over the place. There's monkey-looking dudes that can bend over backwards or something. I don't know what that is. There's people down here. There's all kinds of life, right? There's even a dragon, some sort of dragon creature down here. You see that? With red eyes. A lot of these have red eyes too, I noticed. Oh, here's the sun, red. Okay, when at the time this was drawn, the sun was red. He didn't just make it red for, oh, I think that'll be a fun color to use for the sun. Okay? It was drawn red a long time ago because it was red. This is the time when it had a red color spectrum too. We're going through color spectrum shifts like we talked about. Here's a dragon fighting a giant lion. Here's a camel way down here. Here's a giant also fighting, what people would call a dinosaur or whatever. This is all Australia. All this right here. This is Polynesia right here, right? This is Australia. Part of Australia is just the highest place, and the waters kept on rising, and they flooded this whole area out. And then the world started getting colder and colder and colder and stuff. Anyways, so I just wanted to share that with you. That's the truth, and that's the reality behind that. Next up, this one says, why don't we pay attention to how many times your favorite YouTuber or talking head on the television, how many times they say we, and then tell yourself that's not true. Okay? Because we is an absolute. We means everybody, or it means our group, without actually saying what group they belong to, right? It's inferred, right? Why don't we, humanity, all of us everywhere, why don't we use artificial gravity on the International Space Station? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly why. One, there's no such thing as gravity, okay? There's no such thing. It's something that's used to describe the opposite of buoyancy. That's all, right? Buoyancy, like get a 2-liter bottle, put a little figure in there that has just enough air bubbles so that it floats right in the middle of the 2-liter bottle filled with water. And then put pressure on the 2-liter bottle. That figure will all of a sudden experience gravity. Adopted, what's up? Thanks for joining my channel. If you put pressure on the atmosphere of that bottle, that closed system, that little floating figure, I'm sure you guys have done this experiment before, it will experience gravity. It'll sink to the bottom and it'll be able to walk around on the bottom, right? Our atmosphere is a fluid in the exact same manner, okay? Just like that bottle with pressure being put onto it. When you increase the pressure, you increase the perceived gravitational pull. But in reality, you lessen the buoyancy, right? You increase the density and other things are happening too. So the opposite is true as well. Keep this in mind because this will happen to our atmosphere. When the pressure is released, that little guy at the bottom who thinks that he's walking around in his little gravity-filled world, he'll start to float up, okay? That's also something that happens. Now, let's talk about artificial gravity. How do they portray this in the movies? I'm sure you guys can imagine, right? Out there in the movies, and all of a sudden the space station has gravity and it looks like a big wheel and the whole space station is spinning around, and it makes sense. Centrifugal force, right? The people are stuck because it's spinning, right? And this is something that we have applied. These laws of physics, they were only meant, they were invented under these conditions, okay? They don't apply in vacuums or zero gravity or things of that nature, right? So for example, space brakes. In a vacuum, in a completely buoyant atmosphere, when you have nothing to push against, you have nothing to slow you down. They'll try to say, oh, it's reverse thrusters. Yeah, thrusting against what? That's what the word thrust means, to push against something. If you have nothing to push against, you have no thrust. Space is inviting that explosion into it. It receives it with open arms. You can't push against anything, okay? It's like standing in the middle of an ice skating rink all by yourself and going, and expecting to just propel yourself backwards. It's the stupidest thing on earth, okay? Now think about this. Let's say you're inside of one of those wheel-shaped space stations or whatever. It doesn't matter what shape it is. If it's in zero gravity or 100% buoyancy and everything just floats, okay? Or I don't know what that would be, but you know what I mean? Everything's floating. And they're like, turn on the artificial gravity. And it slowly starts spinning. In the movies, they show you everyone just starts sticking to the wall. That's not how that works. If I'm in a room right now, let's just pretend I'm in space, okay? Outer space. And I'm floating around right now, right? And I'm like, turn on the artificial gravity. And all my walls start spinning. I'm going to keep floating right here in the middle. The walls might spin around me and I might have to hold on to them or something. But the second I let go, I'm just going to float around some more, okay? It's not going to create that centrifugal force that they show you in the movies. It doesn't work in floaty space situations. So that's the reason why they don't do that, okay? Because it's not a reality. It doesn't work. It can't work under those conditions. Do they even show that? I don't think they do. Ask some astronaut or whatever. All right, yeah, let's move on. What's next? The Great Lake in North America turns a lively green due to toxic algae. A toxic algae takeover. Some of you might live near to this. It says here, satellite images show a bright green algal bloom in North America's Lake Erie. Lake Erie is a huge lake. On August 13th, 2024, the coast of Ohio, this is right here, can be seen in the bottom left of the image. This is Lake Erie of the Great Lakes. Okay, last time, this is a huge omen. Okay, the ocean waters, the lake waters, they're becoming stagnant. They're becoming still. They're becoming hotter. They're giving rise to death. They're releasing their oxygen. Things are dying inside of them. Microorganisms are building up. Bacteria is building up, which turns into cyanobacteria, which turns into red tide whenever that sunlight gets too bright. Cyanobacteria and other forms turn red and they give us red tide. That red tide releases toxins and bacteria up into the air, which travel through the jet stream, which can land in your local cities and cause new pandemics and pneumonia and other things, right? This is happening in last time I showed you the Salton Sea in California, which is much smaller than Lake Erie. Holy cow. Okay, this is happening in the Salton Sea. It's decrepit. It's gross. People are getting sick all around Southern California, Moreno Valley, and Glamis and those areas. Down there in the Salton Sea area. This is a much bigger body of water. This will happen to the ocean. This is one of the prophecies. You can almost make out the United States shape in this green thing right here. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining. Anyways, the oceans are going to turn green. They already have. If you look it up, over 50% of the world's oceans are now classified as green, not blue. They're changing colors. They can, in their next step, turn red. Okay, they'll become blood red and massive die-offs in the ocean. It's going to affect, it has the ability to affect the buoyancy of the water itself. All kinds of things are going to happen, right? But this is a huge one. Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes, turning green. Huge one. Now, related to this, is this story. The picture here, it says pathogenic microbes blown vast distances by winds, scientists discover. Living microbes that cause disease in humans and host antibiotic resistant genes are carried 1,200 miles. What do they mean by microbes? Check it out. Bacteria and fungi. The exact same things that are caused by this green water right here. Like I said, the people who live in the immediate area are going to be affected first, or most likely, but they don't have to be. On a huge, large scale, this stuff can just rise up into the upper atmosphere and it could just descend on strange places that are just, where it comes down from the upper atmosphere. But that's what's happening here. You're being warned ahead of time. Pathogens are being blown up into the air. I don't know if they say where they come from. Where does it say here? Microbes that cause diseases in humans can travel thousands of miles on high-level winds. Scientists have revealed for the first time. Wow. You need to catch up, science. Let's see. I'm trying to just speed read if they say where these ones come from. Dust particles. They ride on dust particles blown from farm fields in northeastern China. Yeah, that can happen too. But the ocean releases gases and chemicals and toxins and all kinds of stuff, as we've been talking about. And lakes do too. All this stuff, right? Over 300 types of bacteria and 260 types of fungi were found in the samples collected in Tokyo. I'm telling you, watch the oceans. Keep your eye. It's a massive, huge part of our world, 75% of the world. Now, dog strollers outsell baby strollers in countries with the world's lowest birth rates. Data shows 57% of strollers sold this year are for pets, not humans. Highlighting a significant shift as the country's fertility rates hits a record low of 0.72. That's not enough to keep your population. Okay, so this is a huge omen. When people are buying more strollers for their dogs, which, by the way, it doesn't need a stroller. Okay, you're only making, if your dog procreates after doing this its whole life, you're going to just have little weak-ass baby dogs that are going to need strollers, or you're messing up dogs. Okay, don't. Stop it. Stop putting clothing on dogs. Stop putting freaking dogs into strollers and stuff like that. Okay, these are not babies. I get it. You can't have babies. Okay, and they're like, oh, it's because of the changing times. Oh, it's because we're going through a lot of harsh. Our country's going through a tough time. No, nature has revoked your right. You're not allowed to any longer, okay? Humanity has sinned. It is an error. It has wronged the earth and itself and the animal kingdom and so many other things. You're not allowed to have babies. The time is coming when this is going to be an epidemic, just as the movies have shown to us, okay? It already is, just nobody's making a big deal about it because there's so many people in the world already. Wait for this generation to die off. Wait for this generation of the older people to die off. Then a fire is going to get lit under the butt of every country. And all of a sudden, they're going to start legalizing things that now are experimental and sound science fiction and weird. They're going to start growing babies. They've done it before, okay? Some of you know what I'm talking about. They're going to start making pod people because you people, in general, cannot have it. You can't do it. You can't get pregnant. You can't impregnate anyone. It's not because, oh, you don't have enough money to raise a kid. Dude, stop. Okay? Mother Nature's revoked your right and the privilege to reproduce. Here's another article about the same thing. The CDC explains the historic low fertility rates in the US. This chick right here, she's going to say the same thing. Oh, no, it's not because we're evil and corrupt and toxic and have screwed up ourselves and the world around us. It's just because times are hard right now. And we had this happen and we had that happen. Nah, you can come up with all the excuses in the world. I'm telling you right now, your privileges have been taken away. That's all I have to say about that one. Now, this article says that a mom emailed her son's teacher to opt him out of homework. High five to this mom. Let me tell you a story before I do this, okay? I got in a lot of trouble in school. Every single grade, every single year. And mostly just for thinking outside the box, okay? I didn't fit in. I was a black sheep. I was not a, do what everyone else is doing kind of a person. I thought it was weird. I got yelled at for refusing to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I tricked my whole entire class into going into the library on April Fools, and the teacher showed up and there was no class there. I told freshmen that there were cameras in the owl's eyes above the library. I did all kinds of stupid stuff. Fun stuff, actually. And I also told every single one of I asked at the beginning of my freshman year, I asked every teacher, because they're like, this is worth this much of your grade. And if you do this, it's worth this much of your grade. They put homework down there. And they said, homework is worth 20% of your grade. And I'm like, are you telling me that if I just refuse to do homework, but I get an A on everything else, that I could coast through your class with a B? And they're like, well, I mean, technically, I'm like, I accept. Cool. And I put my hand out. I didn't do homework in high school, man. Like whatever I could do in class, I would do it in class. But I told my teachers, I have homework. It's called chores. I got to go home and mow the lawn. I got to go home and clean my room. I got to go home and do the dishes and all this other stuff. I have homework, buddy. This is schoolwork. I'm not doing it. You know what I graduated with? 3.2. Never did homework. Anyways, a mom emails her son's teacher to opt him out of homework. After he comes home with a packet, she says, we are done. Now, let me scooch this little article down. TikTok lady and her son faced a difficult moment after her son came home with homework following his first days of kindergarten. She emailed his teacher saying, we're done with assignments. It was like a 20-page homework assignment. My son also had something similar. I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, what are you doing, man? This ain't college. Like, that's all college is, by the way. Professors don't teach you anything. They just hand you hundreds of pages to read and hundreds of pages to fill out in homework. College is just, they're getting paid to just send you home to go study. You don't need to go to college, okay? You could just freaking study for free, whatever you're interested in studying. You don't even have to study all that boring crap. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm proud of this mom. I like this. It says in the video, she describes how her son received 15 to 20 page double-sided August homework packet on the first day of school, which stressed out her son. Understandably so. Yeah, forget that. I was the type of kid in school that, like, once I got it, I wanted to move on, man. I don't want to spend 3 weeks doing long division when I know how to do long division. Like, you taught it to me. Bam. I just showed you I can do it. I filled out multiple instances. I took quizzes. I passed them. I'm done. This sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay. I would like to move on and learn something else. So they put me into the Gifted and Talented Education Program, or GATE program, because my mind was accelerated, or however they described that, right? You know what I did in that class? Same thing. That class was boring. I was like, some of this is meaningless knowledge and stupid, and I've already learned this. Can we move on? They said, no, just sit there quietly if you're done with your work. And do what? That's not productive. I went over to, like in the old school days, they had that pink soap that looks like sand, like dry soap, right? Well, I learned that if you mix that with some Elmer's glue and you roll it up into a ball and let it dry out, it makes super bounce balls. So I was like off inventing crap while everyone else was like, oh man, oh this and that, right? Either that or I just left. I'm gonna be honest. I said I had to go to the bathroom and I went and played on the playground or something. Anyways, yeah, I hate school. Next up, mystery, 420 people watching. High five. Good to see you guys. Mystery of Mars' vanishing water has been solved. I solved it, actually. There's no water on Mars because Mars is a projection. All those planets up there are luminaries. They're lights in the skies. They're holograms. There's no water on the lights up above us. Okay. Now, there's truth to this in that our world, when they talk about Mars, this is the way our world is. It's a cartoonified version of the world to come. It's the red world with the red sky. It's a world where the oceans have been removed and oxidated. Is that the right word? Oxidated? Pick my ear there. Oxygen. So the Earth releases all of these oxygens in this great oxidation event, and all that oxygen rusts stuff the world across. Okay, so our world is going to be covered in red dust, red sand, lots of things that are just rusty. All of our metal and stuff will just, it'll just start wasting away and rusting and stuff. That's Mars. Mars is our future. Okay, that's all this Mars talk is code for post-apocalypse, basically. And I think that is our show for today. Susie Flat, hey, thank you again for your donation earlier. Super appreciate you. 100,000 subscribers. Man, I could not have done it without all of you. I am pretty super darn proud and happy, and it's an honor that so many people actually listen to my thoughts and my research and stuff. Don't thank me though. Thank my kids. Okay. They inspire me to never let my inner child die. I don't want to become a grown-up. I don't believe in grown-ups. I physically actually don't believe that there is an actual thing as a grown-up. Okay. Because I believe in lengthy lifespans that last hundreds and hundreds of years, hearkening back to ancient times when we were healthier and larger and bigger and had longer lifespans. I'm a child and I don't want to lose that. Not now, not ever. I want to always think outside of the box. I want to look up at the world with big, huge, childlike eyes and wonder and see the magic and everything. And I want to balance out factual information, mathematical numbers and statistics and history and all of that, the left side of the brain, with my right side and creativity and wonder and imagination. I think that that's the key that will help me out, and I think it might help you too. Go check out my website, JayDreamerZ.com. Check out my books, Ancient Oblivion, The Plasma Apocalypse, and Ancient Oblivion, Return to Hyperborea. And go check out my comments section. Vote for my brother if you haven't already. If you want to help out. I don't ever ask you guys to do anything, and you don't have to, okay? But he's in first place, and I really, really love my brother, and he's the best in the world, and he's going to be a guest on my channel here pretty soon. And there's a possibility that him and I might actually go on our own paranormal investigation or ghost hunt, because there's some haunted places up in the mountains in this little gambling town up there. What's it called? I forget what the town's called, but there's a hotel that I've got my eye on, and I kind of want to take my brother up there and do like live streams and record everything for you guys. Anyways, you guys are going to meet my brother soon enough. He's definitely going to be a guest, and I'm going to take off with these beautiful sunflowers behind me. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
go.